Philippine Trade and Industry History. The Department of Trade and Industry had its beginning on June 23, 1898, when President Emilio F. Aguinaldo formed four agencies, namely Department of Navy, Commerce, Agriculture, and Manufacturing. September 6, 1901, the Philippine Commission established the Department of Commerce and Police. After World War II, President Manuel A. Rojas issued Executive Order 94 on October 4, 1947, creating the Department of Commerce and Industry or DCI. Cornelio Balmaceda, a most sought-after economics professor and Bureau of Commerce Director, was appointed acting secretary of the newly created Department of Commerce and Industry. Prior to Executive Order 94, the Bureau of Commerce was tasked to develop and promote the trade and industry of the country under the overall supervision of the Department of Agriculture and Commerce. After 25 years, by 1972, DCI had grown into a big organization with 10 regular bureaus and 22 agencies under its direct supervision. The DCI was mandated to promote, develop, expand, regulate, and control foreign and domestic trade in industry and tourism. To have closer supervision and ensure more effective delivery of services, President Ferdinand E. Marcos issued Presidential Decree 189 on May 11, 1973, creating the Department of Tourism to handle all tourism-related matters. A year later, June 21, 1974, Marcos issued Presidential Decree 488, creating the Department of Industry, whose principal function was to promote and enhance the growth of the existing and thriving industry in the country. On June 2, 1975, the Department of Trade was created under Presidential Decree 721 to pursue efforts of the government towards strengthening socio-economic development of the country, particularly in the area of commercial activities. A key strategy of the new department was vigorous export promotion to generate much-needed foreign exchange. A Bureau of Foreign Trade was also established to push for domestic trade and marketing programs. In the early 80s, the national economic development goal of the Marcos government required the need to do industrial promotion efforts with the expansion of Philippine trade overseas. This resulted in the creation on July 27, 1981, of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, which took over the functions of the subsequently abolished Department of Trade and of Industry. Drastic changes followed after the People Power Revolution. President Corazon C. Aquino signed on February 27, 1987, Executive Order 133, organizing the Ministry of Trade and Industry and renaming it the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI. In 2006, Secretary Peter B. Favilla issued a department order officially declaring every 27th of July of each year the date and the month the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Industry was first merged as the Department of Trade and Industry Anniversary.
On May 1, Filipino laborers, armed with their placards and grievances, came together and joined ranks as they filled the streets of the city. Most of the time, "Mabuhay ang Manggagawang Pilipino" is echoed throughout nationwide rallies and demonstrations, bringing to the forefront issues such as fair remuneration and labor export policies. At a time when American firms made Filipino laborers work for as long as 12 hours a day, 36 labor unions decided to convene at Claro M. Recto Street. The 36 unions decided to unite under one umbrella and form the Congreso Obrero de Filipinas, or Congress of Philippine Labor. The COF, however, fell apart on Labor Day 1929 when several members led by Communist Crisanto Evangelista defected and established the Katipunan ng Anak Pawis due to large numbers of non-members being present during the COF Congress. The CAP would eventually be outlawed in September 1931 due to its aggressive brand of unionism heavily influenced by communism. OFWs, or Overseas Filipino Workers, have been hailed as modern-day heroes. OFWs provide strong remittance inflows. The Philippines is the fourth largest recipient of foreign remittances. Generally speaking, remittances from OFWs favor the country's economic development by playing a role in alleviating poverty and creating a stable cash flow and circulation. Remittances from OFWs have not only secured the basic needs of their own families, but also have kept the country's economy afloat by providing liquidity amid global financial crisis. Remittance from OFWs is the second largest source of the country's foreign reserves. The Philippines is the third country receiving the most remittances worldwide, right after India and China. It can be surprising as its population of 100 million people is far smaller than its two giant neighbors. Remittances from those foreign workers to the Philippines are essential to the country. It helps to sustain the country's domestic consumption and growth. Remittances represent 10% of the nation's GDP. We saw a record amount of remittances in 2015 as a result of a decrease in the public expenses. Moreover, those remittances help to stabilize the peso against the US dollar. Gross domestic product is a measure of national income, national output, national expenditure that is produced in a particular country. Gross national product is equal to GDP plus the net property income from abroad. GNP includes the value of all goods and services produced by the local. GNP and GDP both reflect the national output and income of an economy. The main difference is that GNP takes into account net income receipts from abroad.
Former President and Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo advocated for the rights and protection of OFWs during her term. Arroyo called OFWs heroes as they kept the Philippines' GDP afloat, which is rightfully so, as OFWs receive daily abuse overseas. They risk sexual abuse, maltreatment, even death in their quest for jobs and a better future for their children. Arroyo hailed migrant workers as the country's greatest export, as its investors, proprietors, stakeholders, and philanthropists, and also as its full partners in developmental, demographic, and democratic transformation. By calling OFWs names based on market economies, the former president tried to rhetorically transform migrant identities and subjectivities usually immersed in sacrifice, hardship, and pity into something more appealing for the modern and global status to which the Philippine nation-state aspires. The country received 28.4 billion of US dollars in 2015 according to the World Bank. More than a third of the Philippines population receives money from family abroad. And yet, the Philippine government has disrespected our heroes with the influx of illegal Chinese workers elbowing Filipinos out of jobs. Labor officials and senior diplomats attending a Senate hearing yesterday admitted that at least 150,000 Chinese in the offshore gaming industry could be working without permits. But one senior lawmaker has suggested that the actual number may be double that. The Labor Department issued 115,652 employed permits from 2015 to last year. About 51,980 went to Chinese workers. Senator Joel Villanueva, head of the Senate committee leading on investigation into the issue, said, "You go to shopping malls, condominiums, you'd think you were in China. I believe there are more than 200,000 here now. They are not just in gaming, they're also in restaurants, construction, and mining. These jobs could have been given to our own people. They aren't only robbing us of our jobs, but also of our home. By actually putting our people's interests first and focusing on adhering to the improvement of the labor sector, maybe then Filipinos wouldn't have to subject themselves to the abuse and struggle of working overseas, away from their families and also away from their homes."
Ayon sa huling statistik ng DOLE, noong Hunyo 2018, mayroong 19,191 labor union sa Pilipinas na may higit 2 milyong membro o 4.6% ng kabuuang bilang ng labor force sa bansa. Ang karamihan o 17,460 dito ay nakarehistro sa DOLE ay mula sa pribadong sektor at 1,551 naman ay mula sa publikong sektor. Ang layunin ng labor union ay ipaglaban ang kanilang karapatan bilang manggagawa kaugnay sa sahod at benepisyo at kondisyon ng kanilang trabaho. Ngunit, hindi lahat ng pinaglalaban nila ay nakakamit, bagkos ang iba ay nauwi sa taas.
Hey, magic, nanay! 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 Tapos, nanay! Nanay! Dahan-dahan nanay! Dahan-dahan lang! Nanay! Hindi! Ubusan naman dugo! Dugo! Nanay! Hindi na! Panyo! Sige! Uy! Dala sa hospital! Sige, nanay! Oh, dala sa hospital!
Si nanay!
Nanay! Patulugin ako. Patulugin. Sumakay na dito nung ano ka. Pwede. Sino pwede sumaka dito? Ay!
Kahit ang malalaking kumpanya ay may mga kakulangan din sa kanilang manggagawa. Isang dahilan para bumuo ng grupo ang mga empleyado at sabay-sabay isigaw ang kanilang karapatan.
Mas malaki ito ang inyong blessing. Kamalan ko kultura at sila na magawa sa bansa. Na saan ang katapunan nito? Ang laban namin sa po, ang laban ng una. Laban natin ang Manggagawa at Uring. Pwedeng pangalisan ng mga kumano ang nasa ng ginagawa nito. Napangangin na umuling nito. Dapat natin labanan, dapat natin buuin. Nangalaman kami at patuloy kami malaman. Hinihinay namin ang kanyang tulong at support.
Ano na kaya ang lagay ng mga manggagawa ngayon sa Pilipinas?
I am Daisy Aragop, the Executive Director for the Center for Trade Union and Human Rights.
So why don't you talk about your center? What does it do?
Well, basically we are monitoring and documenting the human rights violations committed against workers in all sectors, across sectors, from factories to informal work to plantations and mining. And we do also public advocacy and also including policy advocacy and legislative advocacy campaigning. So we are we are human rights organizations in focusing on the labor sector. Yeah.
What are the conditions for workers in the Philippines today?
Generally, with the new government, we have gone from bad to worse, not only in terms of wages, but in terms of the failure of the current government to deliver his promise of ending the contractualization. So it's been a huge blunder, even a failure of the government, which actually united different labor centers of different colors, of different persuasion into one collective and a unified voice against the president's policy and failure to deliver the contractualization, even if the president issued this executive order last May 1st, which is actually, there's now difference. Nothing. It's just a duplication of what has been existing in terms of the labor law and the other regulations issued in March.
Until the government give his promise that he will end contractualization. That is his promise. That's the promise of Duterte. But up to now, the promise is remain promise. Ang simpleng gusto namin, magkaroon ng job security ang mga manggagawang Pilipino at magkaroon ng nakabubuhay na sahod ang mga manggagawang Pilipino. Iyan ang dapat mong gawin, Pangulong Duterte. Wala ka ng ibang magagawa kung hindi yan.
And there are a lot of foreign investments. This company you talked about is Korean. Do companies go to Philippines because they don't have to have the proper health and safety standards? They can do it cheaply?
Right. Oh yeah, I mean, we have supposedly we have this law, I mean, in terms of working hours, but currently most of the working hours are actually what is considered as normal now in practice is 12 hours a day, and it's also even exceed to 7 days a week. So, and it's keep on going on unchecked, and the government cannot really enforce what is written in the law. And the other thing is that companies, we have a deeper and cultural impunity of workers' rights violations, especially on us, because no companies, regardless of number of deaths. For example, this Hanshin shipbuilding, I think since 2006, it's almost more than 50 workers had died during the work, and that's only published. And we don't know how many more which had not been published. But there was no company who had been filed or even charged criminally for the negligence that resulting to deaths. And so they go on and keep on repeating the same practice without really there's no such accountability that being enforced by the car.
Ang July 3 ngayon, nagkaroon ng caravan ng iba't ibang labor groups at iba't ibang sektor para sa laban ng mga engine workers na 21,000 workers na nasa loob ngayon. Pero kasalukuyang hinarangan kami ng mga pulis na di umano'y kampe sa management. Narito lang kami para ipahayag sana yung karapatan ng mga manggagawa na maayos na pasilidad ng pagtatrabaho, safety and health, tsaka yung contractualization. Kilalanin yung mga regular na manggagawa na halos 5 years na nagtatrabaho sa Hanjin. Lalong-lalo na yung mga safety ng mga manggagawa. Di umano'y marami na ring namatay dahil sa paggawa ng barko, nagawa ng kumpanyang ito, pero hindi na ilalathala o hindi na didokumento dahil nagkakaroon ng katiwalian di umano rin. Kaya sa kasulukuyan nagkakaroon ng negosasyon sa harap kasama sila Bishop Pabilio at ibang mga leader natin ng iba't ibang sektor, pero matatag pa rin yung mga polis at saka yung kanilang lawyer na igihit yung kanilang karapatan na di umano'y nararapat lang daw magtayo ng checkpoint dyan, pero sa aming paniwala ay illegal ito na hindi naman nararapat. Ayan po. Ngayon, nag-abang na lang kami na sana payagan kami makapasok at hanggang dun sa loob, sa harap, kahit sa harap man lang, makapagdaos ng programa at simba ni Misa ni Bishop Pabilio para sa mga namatay at sa pagkakaroon ng hustisya sa mga namatay na manggagawa na maglilid naman para sa bibigay ng mga grievances nito, lalong-lalo na sa konstitusyon na maayos na mamalakad sa health and safety nila sir. Ronald Bukat sir. Okay. Namatay di umano'y ng mga
meron na nag-grind yung leeg. Kasalanan ng Koreano dahil kinalas nila yung nakasabit na panggabi yun. Yung nag-grind yung leeg, imbes na mabuhay pa yung tao daw dahil namin nakasaksi, ayaw ipatanggal ng Koreano yung pinabayaan nilang namatay yung tao doon. Yan ang unang success ang na-encounter.
Naibalita po ba yan? Nabayaran o nakatanggap na?
Ayan ang sinasabi, walang lumalabas na baho yung yarda na yan. Ang tanong ko, bakit wala?
Like the Philippines is now being praised as the fastest growing economy in Asia. Like in the first quarter, it recorded 6.8, but it doesn't mean anything to the people because it doesn't go down. It does not really benefited the people themselves. In fact, it has deepened the poverty more in terms of resulting from unemployment and also joblessness because of the hire and fire situation, especially with workers who are hired and employed by the agencies. So it is easy for them to hire workers, which also contributed to the deepening of their poverty. And of course, wages are still like half of what is required to live decently for a family of 5, which is about like 1,500 would be something like $60. But a day, but the workers are only receiving like $10 a day, and for 12 hours work. The people are really like dissatisfied. They are angry about what is happening, and let's see what will happen next.
Narito po tayo ngayon upang makapanayam si Attorney Sunny Reyes. Magandang hapon po, Attorney Sunny.
Magandang hapon naman. Ako si Domingo Y. Reyes Jr. Ang aking nickname ay Sunny. Ako ay isang special assistant to the Chancellor ng De La Salle College of St. Philip. Ako ay isang guro, isang teacher ng labor sa koleyong ito. Ang aking karanasan ay tungkol sa labor and legal and HR sa dati kong pinagtatrabuhan sa mga ibang kumpanya bago ako naging full-time dito sa College of St. Philip.
Ngayon po, Attorney Sunny, may mga ilang katanungan po kami na related po sa industry na meron kayo dati. So, unang tanong po, ano po ang role ng labor groups or unions in advancing Filipinos' welfare in and out of the country?
Malaki ang ginagampan ng tungkulin ng isang uring manggagawa ng labor unions, lalo-lalo na sa kapakanan ng mga manggagawa sa loob at labas ng Pilipinas. Unang-una, kailangan nating alalahanin na ang sektor ng paggawa sa Pilipinas ay isa sa pinakamalaking sektor na nangangailangan ng proteksyon para sa laban sa pang-abuso o exploitation ng mga employers. Kasi nga napakarami nila, kumbaga sa sinasabi na supply and demand, pag marami ang demand, ay pag malaki ang supply, maliit ang demand. No? So, kailangan silang, kasi sila yung pinaka-vulnerable na sector ng society. Madali silang maabuso sapagkat marami sila at alam naman natin na kulang pa rin ang trabaho sa ating bansa. Ito ay tugon na rin sa social justice prinsipyo na nakasaad hindi lang sa ating konstitusyon at pati na rin sa labor code. Kasi kung titingnan niyo yung Article 3 ng labor code, nakalagay doon ay unang-unang polisiya ng Estado ay protection sa mga manggagawa. Well, sa loob at labas, sa loob mas madali kasi sakop tayo ng Philippine law, no? Pero pagdating sa labas, mas kailangan ng protection nila sapagkat ang mga manggagawa natin ay kailangan tumugon doon sa batas kung saan sila pumunta. So ang ating pamahalaan, ang ating Estado ay gumagawa ng paraan na kahit na lumabas yung ating mga manggagawa, ay binibigyan pa rin sila ng protection. Although hindi ito yung formal na labor union na inoorganisa ng mga manggagawa sapagkat ang labor union na galing sa ibang bansa ay ayon din dun sa bansa na pinuntahan nila. So kaya meron tayong mga agencies, no, kung saan kailangan dumaan ang mga manggagawa upang kung ano man ang pirmahan nila ng kontrata ay maipatupad pagdating nila sa ibang bansa. So malaki ang ginagampanan ng labor organizations. The welfare, the protection, and promotion of the general welfare of our workers.
Ano po kaya ang kagandahan at yung advantage at disadvantage po ng labor union?
Well, kanina nasabi ko ng advantage. No? Unang-una, it's a protection. Lalo-lalo na yung pag-protect sa mga karapatang manggagawa tulad ng security of tenure. Kapag ikaw isang nagulang ng manggagawa, hindi basta pwedeng tanggalin sa trabaho kasi ang trabaho sa atin, ang konsepto niya ng isang pag-aari o property. So, kailangan may basihan. Yan ang security of tenure. Pagkatapos, kung hindi lang may basihan, dapat mayroong prosesong sinusunod. Yung tinatawag na due process. At marami pang ibang karapatan ng mga manggagawa na dapat lamang na proteksyonan. No? Hindi lamang ng employer, kundi pati na rin ng pamahalaan. Pagdito, yung karapatan para sa mabilis na pagtitis ng kaso, yung pag-organisa bilang isang union, yung bawal na magpapatrabaho ayon sa nasasaad sa labor code. No? So these are rights or karapatan ng mga manggagawa na kailangan na merong isang grupo na nagpoprotekta. Siyempre, meron ding mga disadvantages, no? Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, ang orientasyon ng uling manggagawa at ng employer masyadong nababase sa tinatawag ko sa English na mistrust. Kasi parang kawalan ng pagtitiwala. So minsan, kahit kung ang employer naman ay sumusunod, hindi naman o makatao, hindi mo na kailangan ng formal na uling manggagawa o labor union. Pwede ba sila mag-usap? Kaya lang kung ang employer ay abusado, yun, kailangan mo ng union. Pero kung maganda naman ang pakikitungo, wala naman nilalabag na karapatan ng mga manggagawa, kung at binibigay pa ng mas higit kung ano yung nararapat, nagiging disadvantage. Kasi nagkakaroon ng disruption yung tinatawag nating ugnayang employer-employee. Kasi nga, nagiging posisyon, ano ba yung makukuha ko? So, nawawala yung essence ng labor unionism. Pero kung papukumpara ko yung kabutihan at yung hindi ka magandang idudulot ng union, lagi ko mas malaki ang naidudulot na kabutihan nito. Pero hindi na maglugan na sa lahat ng klase ng employment ay kailangan ng union. No, meron mga hindi kailangan ng union. Kung maganda naman ang relasyon na magagawa ng employer at capitalist. Pero kung hindi maganda at inaabuso, yun, kailangan natin ng union para mag-protect na hindi kanilang mga karapatan.
Gaano po kaya kahalaga ang isang labor union sa isang organization?
Well, ano yan eh, depende yan sa organisasyon eh. Kung maayos naman ang organisasyon, hindi na kailangan naman ng formal, yung formal labor union. Registered, without election, may collective bargaining agreement. No? Pero kung ang establishment ay medyo nang-aabuso, yan, mahalaga talaga kasi nga, para hindi ma-abuso yung mga magnagawa. Pero kung hindi naman dinakabuso, maganda yung pakitungo. Bukas naman ang linya ng komunikasyon ng bawat kapitalista at ng manggagawa. Walang dahilan para mag-union. Pero kung sinasabi ko man at yun ay paraan ng mga kapitalista para abusihin ng mga manggagawa, kailangan mo talaga ng union. So, depende yan sa sitwasyon. Depende sa nangyayari sa employment. Talagay sa isang provision ng Constitution natin, the state affirms that parang that the labor force is a social economic force. No? So pinaniniwalaan na sila ay mahalagang bahagi ng ating ekonomiya at ng ating bansa. Pero marami tayong organization ngayon na federation. KMU, meron tayong Kinusamayo Uno, meron tayong FFW, the Federation of Free Workers, meron tayong TUCP, the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. Marami tayong mga labor union. Pero kung nababa na interest ng mga manggagawa sa pagsali o pag-anig sa labor union, because responsable na ang mga employers. No? Binibigay na, tsaka mas marami na tayong patas ngayon na nagproprotekta sa karapatan ng mga manggagawa na hindi na nangangailangan ng isang formal na organization para maprotektahan o overcome naman.
So, sir, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat din.
Sir Sunny.